There's a few, and the first one that I can think of is scope. So at the end of the day, the business may have a desire to touch large sections of the product and the process definition, and that's absolutely possible and even a good idea when you're implementing CPQs to kind of do an analysis of your overall data landscape, product landscape, and your process. But you want to take a metered approach. It's good to observe the impacts of the changes downstream. So in other words, based on the scope of changes, a phased approach, can be advantageous, especially if an organization is perhaps not familiar with the process. This isn't something that you do every day, of course. Mark touched on support or resources. That can absolutely doom a project, or sometimes worse, you can drag it out until the terms of the project aren't acceptable. So it's imperative that the proper resources, are dedicated to the effort, and that includes the executive level. A lack of executive support on a project can absolutely, set the wrong stage for that. Another being lack of deadlines or unrealistic deadlines. It's really a kind of the inverse of scope creep. So it's really important that you establish target dates, track to those, compare them to your goals, even as they change. Take an agile approach to the project, because if one element changes, the other likely needs to as well. It's common. There's a lot of moving pieces to a project, and CPQ commonly sits between multiple business systems. So the idea that some detail couldn't have been missed, or some ancillary process that was working off some former system is overlooked. It's always possible. So it's important to not be too rigid. Like I said, if you take an agile approach and have the team ready to field those changes as they come up.
You've got to be easy to do business with, and you've got to do it in a very time-effective manner. We've seen practical examples for very complex products, how the customer originally designed the user experience, taking over an hour for them to configure. One of our consultants went and sat with the end users, and they got the configuration process down to less than 10 minutes, again, by the logical flow and defaulting values and things like that from there. So to me, absolutely critical. And people like visual. They like to have something that is easy to comprehend and understand as well.